You may have seen a rocket being launched at a space station, and at the same time on the television, they show you something called as a countdown. What that countdown does is generally it starts from 100 or whatever number. It says 100, 99, 98, 97, 96. It keeps coming down. And finally, it prints 0 on the screen and then it displays the message blast off or rocket launched. So I want you to do this particular thing using an algorithm. So let's try to see what this algorithm is asking us. It's telling us write an algorithm to print the countdown logic similar to the one used during the launch of a space rocket. So what you should do is you should keep printing starting from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1 and 0. And then you need to print the message blast off. So let's see how we do this particular problem. It should be really simple, but let's take a look and let's run through the logic. First step, start. Next, I am taking an initial value for a variable called as I. So I am saying this is a memory location called as I and I am giving it the value 10. So what I am going to do here is in the repeat while loop, I am going to print the value of I and also reduce the value of I by 1. So as long as the value of I is greater than or equal to 0, I am printing the value of I as well as reducing the value of I by 1. And then when I becomes minus 1, I'm not printing minus 1, but then I print the message blast off. So next is the looping to count down to 0. So repeat while as long as the value of I happens to be greater than or equal to 0. So first thing what I'm doing is I'm going to output the value of I. If I don't reduce the value of I, this particular thing will never stop executing. It will keep executing endlessly. It will go into an infinite loop. Then I reduce the value of I by 1. From 10 it becomes 9. Next time 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and so on. And finally I end the loop and once I print 0, I am required to print the message blast off. So after I have printed 0 here, I becomes minus 1. Minus 1 is not greater than 0. I'll come to step 4. In step 4, I'll print the message blast off. A lot of you in the beginning do the mistake of putting this blast off message in this particular loop. If you put this blast off message in the loop, it will print 10 blast off, 9 blast off, 8 blast off. Okay, you don't want that. You want the blast off to be printed only at the very end. After step 4, you're ending the algorithm and then you're halting. So let's try to run through this logic and see what happens. So what we will do is, as usual, we will draw a table for the value of I. Okay, I starts from 10. I've initialized it or given the value of I as 10. You can make it 100. It will start printing from 100 all the way down. Now, is I greater than 0 or equal to 0? This condition is true. So what do? I come here and the first step I do is I print the value of I. I print 10. Then I is reduced by 1. Since I is reduced by 1, I becomes 9. I go back to this condition. 9 is still greater than or equal to 0. And I print the value of I, which happens to be 9. Now I reduce I by 1 again. From 9, I ends up becoming 8. Now I go back here. 8 is greater than or equal to 0 is still true. So I output 8 here. 8 is printed. Now after I output 8, I is reduced by 1. It becomes 7. Once I reduce it to 7, I go back here. 7 is greater than or equal to 0? Yes. So I'm going to go here and print the value of I. I is reduced by 1 again. It becomes 6. I go back here. 6 is still greater than or equal to 0. So I'm outputting the value of I, which happens to be 6. I is reduced by 1 again. It becomes 5. 5 is still greater than or equal to 0. So I'm going to print 5. I come down here. I from 5 is reduced by 1 becomes 4. 4 is still greater than or equal to 0. So I come here and output 4. Next step I is I minus 1. I ends up becoming 3. 3 is still greater than or equal to 0. Output I. It will output 3. I is 3 minus 1. I becomes 2. Go back here. 2 is still greater than or equal to 0. So I am going to print 2. I is now from 2 it becomes 1. Okay, now you have to be careful. 1. 1 is still greater than or equal to 0. So I am printing 1. Then I come here, I becomes from 1, it becomes 1 minus 1, 0. But 0 is still equal to 0. It is greater than or equal to. So it is still equal to 0. So I output I which is 0. Now what happens? I becomes 0 minus 1 becomes minus 1. Here the condition fails. Minus 1 is not greater than or equal to 0. I am going to come to step 4 now because this condition has failed. Come to step 4. In step 4 I print the message blast off and then I come to the end of the algorithm. So after 0 the message blast off is printed and we halt the running of the program.